Anna Marsden.
And Marsden is Marsden.
DEN.
The
Great Barrier Reef Foundation.
Beautiful. What is it trying to achieve?
So Reef Future 2.0 is a project that we've been doing. It's a partnership with the Great Barrier Reef Foundation, Rio Tinto and CSIRO, and essentially we're measuring the level of ocean acidification in the area of the Great Barrier Reef. And that goes to the heart of understanding reef health. So if the acidity is high in oceans, it's not a great environment for coral to grow, for animals to survive, and particularly with a bleaching event like we've had this year in 2016, for coral to recover. So as much as taking a cholesterol test or understanding, taking the pulse, it goes to the heart of understanding how the reef is faring. So it is a really great check on reef health. So to have a ship that has a laboratory that's constantly measuring the ocean acidification levels is very powerful, because it's going to give scientists and managers of the reef up-to-date data on how our reef is faring, how the GBR is going.
Is this rare? Is it unusual that we would have data like this?
This is a first. To have constant flow of data allows us to get ahead of the curveball. It allows us to see small variations and be able to adjust management, to be able to really get to the heart of what's going on up there. I mean, you've got to understand the Great Barrier Reef is huge and it's diverse, and so this is a way that we can pinpoint changes in the system, and therefore that can target certain approaches around that. But it's a first, it's unique, and it's priceless data that goes to the heart of saving and protecting our Great Barrier Reef.
Do we know if anyone else is conducting studies like this anywhere around the world in any other barrier reefs?
Ocean acidification is something that scientists all around the world who are looking at marine environments are keen to understand. However, we aren't aware of anyone else in the world who has built a laboratory and is having such constant baseline data on their OA levels. This is definitely a world first.
What have we learned from the first 3 years with this testing?
So what we've learned is there's certain variations in northern parts and southern parts of the reef, and what we've certainly seen now is the level of OA absolutely is tied to coral health. We're understanding how it's affecting coral recovery in the face of big storm events and floods, and also what we're really keen to do from this point on after March is look at how it affects the recovery since a bleaching event and the mortality that we're seeing particularly up in the northern GBR.
What's OA?
Oh, ocean acidification, sorry.
So you're saying it's the condition of the reef is tied to ocean acidification. Is that the egg before the chicken, or the chicken after the egg? Is in, are we saying ocean acidification is affecting the reef's affecting ocean acidification?
Ocean acidification is absolutely having an impact on the reef, and ocean acidification is a barometer about climate change. So climate change affects the level of acidity in the water, and that has an impact on reef health.
And what else are we seeing? Is this also caused by man-made chemicals, farming, flowing into the reef? What are the other ramifications or the causes here?
No, ocean acidification is simply carbon ending up in the ocean. So the oceans are the sponge for most of the carbon in the atmosphere, and we all understand how the planet is changing and how there is more carbon in the environment. And so it's all ending up in our oceans, and that's having an impact on the systems and the marine animals and the coral that's living there. And this project gets to the heart of what kind of an impact that's actually having.
My understanding is that the reefs actually do a very important job in terms of turning that carbon dioxide back into oxygen.
Absolutely.
Are we saying that now they're now being forced to play too great a role in curbing climate change and rectifying the problems we've caused to the planet? Is that what we're saying?
No, I don't think so. I think what we're hoping is that there's a level of adaptation and resilience in our motion systems. But this is going to show us, as the levels increase, if the system is able to cope with those higher levels. We haven't seen an impact yet that it's actually having that kind of effect, but this research will absolutely go to the heart of allowing the scientists to understand that and draw that correlation to what the levels of ocean acidification are having with coral health and with marine health.
Is it also determining coral bleaching?
No,
Okay.
no.
So it's just specifically ocean acidification?
Ocean acidification.
Do we know what the consequence is if ocean acidification becomes too high?
Oh, look, I think that Bronte, who's doing an interview in Tasmania, will be able to wax lyrical about that, because that's very much a scientific thing, but it goes into the limestone and it's a chemical imbalance. It makes the system weaker. But I think if you look at it as a human body, if you've got a high cholesterol, if you've got certain things within your system that aren't well, your body doesn't recover as well. And the same thing with the GBR. I mean, the best case for the Great Barrier Reef to survive events like coral bleaching and extreme weather is for it to be as healthy as possible. And that goes to the heart of understanding the level of ocean acidification.
How many years is this going to continue for?
Well, at the moment, this is great. We've renewed the partnership with Rio Tinto and Cyro for another 3 years. And I think the data is always going to be really valuable. So as long as it continues to serve great good, I hope it goes for a long time, because it is a world first and it's vital research.
Anything else you want to add? Anything else we need to know?
Look, it's a really cool project, and I think this is a win for the reef. I think all Australians are looking for a good news story about the reef. This talks about what one company is doing to try to help understand what's going on our Great Barrier Reef and play a key part in ensuring that it's protected for future generations. It's a good story.
That'll do. Is it Gladstone to Weeper? Or
Yeah, it just does it basically every, it just turns around and goes back.
And it just collects the data as it goes by.
And so it's just got all these readers on the front of the boat, and that's getting captured. And that's
we've lost 30 or 40% or 50% in terms of coral bleaching. Other groups are saying it's not that significant. It's
22.
It's responding well. How much damage was caused by the last coral bleaching episode?
So the mortality rate that's on record is 22%, and that's predominantly in the northern GBR where this project goes. So I guess the people who are